Hey, welcome to another episode of Future Steps Creative. My name is Marlon McPherson from marlonmcpherson.com. And in this episode today, I want to talk about why you should stop focusing on your logo. Yes, I know it might sound a little bit weird to say that, but I'm going to jump into the reasoning behind that. So I actually was reading an article just recently, and it's on a website called fastcompany.com. And it's written by a guy called John Hollenby. I'll leave links in the show notes so you can actually check the article out. But I'm going to quote a piece of it and what he says here. And he says that somehow companies have gotten into the mindset that a logo, this thing that does nothing more than identify us, is incredibly important. And he goes on to say that we build our brands around them. And when we get bored or when, things hit the fan, or things doesn't quite work out the way that we expect, we redesign them and we manipulate them into looking better, sharper, cooler, anything to try and get people to notice us, basically. And we build our brands around that. Well, I agree with most of what he's saying, basically, and I have my sort of thinking behind that. And I thought, let me just share that with you in this episode of the podcast. So what I feel is that we can overly place disproportionately placed emphasis on designing the coolest looking logo or the most interesting looking logo, and kind of neglect the other side of things, and the things that are actually, in my opinion, is a lot more important than having a logo. Let me start by saying that a business doesn't actually need a logo to function and to be successful. Lots of businesses actually start out with literally no visual branding, no logo, and they actually still cut through and become successful. And why do you think that is? Because a logo isn't what actually creates the brand. And I've got a few key points that I've actually noted down here that I'm going to run through with you. So I've just said that a logo isn't the brand. So what is actually the brand? And if you have listened to my content or followed my content before, or if you're clued up about these types of things, you'll know that the brand is more about an experience. It's about the perception. The key word there, perception, is what people create in their own heads. And if you can get the right perception to be created in the minds of your target customer or your target user, then you have somebody who is going to buy from you or deal with you no matter what, even if you don't have a logo. So when we think about prominent brands out there, they have prominent logos, and if you see the logos, you might identify them as that company. This is because there's a lot of marketing and a lot of work done to actually get you to recognize first of all, the brand as a household name, and to actually recognize their symbol. Take the tick on Nike. That is worldwide recognized as coming from that company. And the tick by itself is really a simple, pretty much anyone can draw that. It's a simple symbol that showcases or represents what the company is. But does that actually, if you take away the tick, does that actually take away from the brand? Maybe, but I would say that tick is actually empty without all the things that go into making that tick recognizable and making it actually elevate, making it actually stand out in the minds of people. So as a small business, we don't necessarily have that same big budget behind marketing and behind doing brand advertising to actually make people recognize the name or recognize the actual symbol. However, what we do have is the ability to control the way we deliver services and the way we deliver our products and the way we deal with people. So at every point, at every touch point, what we want to do is create the best possible experience and to actually create great products and make sure that we over deliver on what we're doing. In which case people will realize that, okay, there's value to be had, and dealing with you is such a pleasurable experience that it becomes a no-brainer to continue to do business with you. And it then moves away from just people looking at pricing and looking at things like, okay, comparing apples to apples because they can get that same generic product that you might sell from somebody else. You don't want that to be the actual point at which people make a decision. You want them to actually think about you as being your brand and the experience that they're going to have. And if you've already done your homework and you know who your target customer is, you know who your target market or user is, you would understand their needs and the things that they're struggling with. And as a result, you're able to create the right experience for them. So you can see my second point here if you're watching this on the video that I've put down, focus on the experience, and that's what I've just spoken about. The next thing is to actually hone in on the right messaging. So the things you say verbally, if you're talking to somebody, even on the phone, or if you're talking to them face to face, or what you write on your website, this is a representation of how you want to be perceived as well. So the type of words that you choose and the type of voice in terms of how you actually come across, how you sound when you deliver your messaging, that is something that is going to actually make you stand out from everyone else with your brand. And you can see how all of this combines to actually propel the overall brand, and it's far more than just a logo. Now, a logo is important, don't get me wrong, but it's not half as important as the other things. So if we focus on doing these other things, naturally what's going to happen is that when you do have a logo and you put it in front of everything that you do, people can see that and know that it's part of your system, it's part of your brand identity, which is an entire system that comes together to actually represent the brand. But again, if you have this strong brand experience that's propping up everything else, then that's what truly matters. Now, if you agree with me, leave me a comment on the YouTube video, or you can drop me a message over on marlonmcpherson.com and I'll try and respond as soon as I can. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the podcast. Do check out the show notes over on marlonmcpherson.com. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'll speak to you in the next one. Take care.